Hey everyone, blessings and welcome. In this video, I will be discussing what to do when manipulators turn people against you. Before we get into our topic, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel if you're not already a subscriber. Also hit that like button because it helps me out. Also share this video if you enjoy my content. Feel free to drop me a comment. And as usual, I do appreciate your support of this channel. Now let's get into the topic of what to do when manipulators turn people against you. For a second, let's just talk about the manipulator just in general. Just remember that this person is a person who wants to maintain control over people and over situations, and they will do that by any means necessary because basically what they want to do is have their own way. And that's what it's all about. They don't have a healthy way of relating to people and influencing people in a positive way to have good outcomes. They use manipulation to get what they want. And that's in a nutshell what it's all about. I mean, there are different reasons why people manipulate. But what I have found personally and in my own opinion is that control is really the main driver behind their behavior. So in this video, I want to talk about two types of manipulators. There are many more types of manipulators now. Let's get that straight. There's more types, but there's going to be two types I'm going to be talking about in this video because I have found through my own lived experience and from, listening to other people and their situations and dealing with manipulators is that these two types often will weaponize relationships and people against their victims. They will turn people against their victims. So let's jump right into it. So the first type I want to discuss is the abuser, right? So they will use and weaponize relationships and turn people against the victim in order to cover their tracks, right? So their main goal is in order to perpetuate their abuse, is to make sure that their victims are isolated and also to strip the victim of any type of support or support system. So they have to get ahead with their false story and their false narrative, right? And pretty much spin the situation before the victim can get to tell their family and friends and whoever could help them out what's actually going on with them. So they'll get ahead of that and they'll try to cover their tracks. And unfortunately, the vile thing that they do, they will oftentimes paint the victim as the problem and as the issue, right? So they're masters manipulators. They can really do a lot of damage to people, cause a lot of trauma to people. And they oftentimes, what I have found, that they will turn people's family against them, people's friends against them, church family against them, turn coworkers against the victim, right? So they just want to make sure that this person has no support, and they do this in order to cover their tracks. And oftentimes they also want to make sure that they look good and that they don't look like the monsters that they truly are, right? So yes, that's the first type. The first type is the abuser. They will often use people against and turn people against the victims in order to maintain control and to cover their tracks. The second type of manipulator I want to talk about is the quote unquote innocent manipulator. So this person is particularly dangerous because they tend to fly under the radar and they look innocent, right? They might even physically look innocent, right? So, these people, they may, in appearance, physical appearance, they may look, maybe small in stature. Oftentimes they may even look younger than their age. They might be 40 and they look 25, right? Or 25 and they look like they're in high school. So they tend to even look innocent, or they might even be elders. They might be older people, who look sweet. A sweet older woman, a sweet older man, but from the point of view of their victims, they are emotional terrorists, right? So sometimes they might even look, the innocent manipulator might even look the part of being innocent, and that's part of the appeal. And these people, they have cultivated a persona of innocence, and they have crafted it very, very well. And if you talk to anyone, and these people can actually be classified in my previous video on a quote unquote good evil people, but I didn't discuss this type. But I'm going to talk about them here. So because they put on the airs of innocence, they may look innocent, they may talk the talk, or just have the persona, or they put on the act of being these amazingly nice people. And people will, and sometimes, oftentimes, they are usually conventionally very attractive people, right? Conventionally very attractive. So they could kind of like fly under the radar with that sometimes. I mean, sometimes that can work against people, but so these are people who, if they come into contact with common folk, the common folk will like kind of like superimpose like good qualities onto them just because of the way that they act and behave. So the innocent manipulator, because they're putting on an air of innocence, they're able to, these are the people who will throw rocks and then hide their hands. They will start trouble. And then because they're deemed innocent and everyone thinks that they're so wonderful and so innocent and that they wouldn't hurt a fly, that they wouldn't imagine that these people are lying and stealing and, basically, spinning the narrative, right? So these innocent manipulators, they oftentimes they are very good at turning people against others because they can get away with it, right? Because they have this halo over them and people just don't suspect them of doing the things that they do. And these are I call them the true emotional terrorists, because they can get away with it, and they've been masters at it for so long. And this is basically how they maintain control, right? So these people are sweet and they're smiling, looking, and they're, like a puppeteer behind the scenes, just controlling situations and controlling people. And, this innocent manipulator, they have lied on you, or they have cheated you. They have done all kinds of things, and you've tried to tell people and they don't believe you, right? And they've turned people against you, right? And because they have put on this persona of, being this quote unquote saint, that, it's easier for others to believe them, even when they make up stories and lies about their victims, right? So, these are very dangerous people. And these are the types that pretty much will weaponize and turn people against their victims. So what to do in this situation? This is a very tough situation to be in. I have personally been in this situation where people have made up things about me that wasn't true. And, and that's what I want to discuss with these people, is really all about the lies. Manipulators are master liars, and they're able to turn people against others because of a lie. Lies are dangerous. A lie could end your life because people are lying on you. It could cost you your life. A lie could cost you your freedom. Some people have gone to jail over lies. A lie can cost you your family, right? A lie could cost you financially. A lie can cost you your job. So this is very, very serious business. And this is what they deal in. I call these types of manipulators, and manipulators in general, especially the ones that turn people against others, because they oftentimes they have to do it with a lie. The lie is the tool. These people, I call them people of the lie. And actually I got that term from one of my favorite authors, M. Scott Peck, and he wrote a book called People of the Lie. Check it out when you have the time. It's a good book. But yeah, manipulators are people of the lie, and they dwell in darkness. They wallow in the lower levels of our base human sinful nature, and they like the shadow side. We all have a shadow side, but they dwell in that shadow side because it's easier for them to get control and to get their way in the shadow, right? That manipulation, that's a quick way to take advantage of people, a quick way to get in and do whatever it is that they want to do, instead of earning people's trust and being honest. This deception is the easy way for them, right? So the lie and the made up story about others, it empowers them, right? These are people of the lie. They basically have a deceptive existence. And what that means, it means that it's demonic. Living a deceptive, a false existence, an existence that's in darkness is demonic, right? So what are we to do when we're in a situation, or if we come across people like this who just turned on us and turned people against us? Well, one of the first things that we can do, and even before I get into these things, just know that I'm not a mental health professional. If you have gone through some trauma and suffered significantly, please seek professional help. These are just my insights, and I'm just a person on YouTube sharing my insights and through personal experience and through the experiences of others that I know. So just keep that in mind when you take this advice. So let's get into it. What to do. What I found that's helped me out is to lead with the truth. Live in the truth. Be true to yourself, and that will help you out. And especially when you're dealing with the abuser or any other type of manipulator who's really harming you in a significant way, be sure to keep a record of what's going on with you, because these people are very good at twisting stories and telling stories, and good at twisting reality. They're major gaslighters. So make sure you keep record if that means screenshotting text messages or emails or what have you, or keeping a journal so you'll know what's going on, because they'll gaslight you, they gaslight everyone else. They don't live in reality. So you have to keep track of what's actually happening to you sometimes. And that's part of leading with the truth, documenting facts and what's going on with you. Also being true to yourself. When it's a situation when the manipulator has turned people against you, unfortunately, there's going to be some people who you think would know better or know you better, and you think would have your back and not believe the manipulator. But there's some people who, when the manipulator said that you did A, B, C, and D, they're going to believe it, even if it's out of your character. There's some people who will unfortunately believe it, who you thought were your friends, and they turned out not to be your friends. And then there's going to be people that hear it and they'll be like, you know what? That's not what I believe about this person. That's not true. The manipulator is going to tell them something about you, and immediately the people who are your true friends, they're going to know something's not right about this story, or something's not right about what they said about my friend. I know their character. I've known them for years. So there's going to be people who stick up for you, and there's going to be people who, go into the gossip, and when they will spread the lie or, believe the deception. Right. So I think by leading with the truth and defending yourself, if you have to defend yourself and defending your reputation, part of that is keeping a record and being true to yourself, and, being confident in yourself. That also helps. You know who you are. The manipulator might try to turn things on you, and especially the innocent manipulator, but, always lead with the truth. And secondly, don't be their target. If you can get literally out of the line of fire and get away from these people, but do not be their target, right? Don't allow them to have target practice on you, right? So don't be their victim. They may try to victimize you, and maybe they did, but make up in your mind, I'm not going to be a victim anymore. And I'm not going to feed into what you're doing, and I'm not going to entertain you anymore. So unfortunately, there are those of us out there who can't easily get away from the manipulator. And, maybe it's a marriage situation. It's not an easy thing to get out of or to untangle or what have you. But just know that, once you become a harder target, they might back off, maybe, but decide in your mind and in your heart that you don't want to be their victim, and you don't want to be their target. So that's one of the things that you can do. I mean, this is a tough situation, right? But I think the most powerful thing that you can do is to use your spiritual power. Remember what I said earlier. These people, they dwell in the darkness. These are people of the lie. That's darkness. They dwell in, they get their energy and their power from the darkness, from evil, and sometimes even evil entities. So you have to use your spiritual power. So the more that you practice the presence of God, the more that you pray, the more that you come into the light and you invite the light inside of you, that will build a hedge of protection around you, right? So the more light and the light of God that you have inside of you, the more the darkness is exposed. So it's important for us to practice the presence of God, because remember, this is spiritual warfare. When you're dealing with people of the lie and people who dwell in the darkness, because living a deceptive life is darkness, it's spiritual warfare. So in order for us to truly be prepared against such situations and such people, we have to make sure we invite as much of the light of God inside of our lives, inside of our hearts, inside of our souls, because the light will repel the darkness away from us. The light will cleanse us. The light will keep these people away from us, right? And the light will also expose them for who they are, right? So they don't want to see people who dwell in the darkness and truly dwell in the darkness. They don't want to mess too much around with people who are in the light, in the light of God, because what they find when they mess with these people, they try to attack them, they're going to get exposed. When light comes into the darkness, what happens? They get exposed. So they're going to get exposed, right? So that's one of the major things that we can do, is to make sure that, we use our spiritual power, understand that this is spiritual warfare. We do that through prayer and through practicing the presence of God. And we want to make evil people uncomfortable in our presence. Because if we're out there hanging out in the shadows ourselves, if we're in a shadow, we become an easy target. Not when I say shadow, I don't necessarily mean that, you're bad people or you're a bad person or something like that, or that you have to be a bad person to be in a shadow, but it can be, a condition of your mind, right? Negativity in your mind. It could be a condition of your heart. It doesn't necessarily make you a bad person, because we all deal with our shadow side. I've dealt with my shadow, right? Still have to grapple with it from time to time, but I don't dwell there. Right. So that shadow is that our base nature and that sin part of us, those things and those qualities about us that's not fantastic, and the shadow could be the things that we struggle with, and that we, for me personally, has been depression. So I don't want to dwell in that shadow. Right. It doesn't make you a bad person, but we all have those things that are negative, that can have a negative impact on our lives. But if we're in that shadow, we're not in the light, we become an easy target for the manipulator, right? But the more light that we come into contact with, and that we got to invite this thing into our lives. We invite into our lives, then we're not so much an easy target for the manipulators. We're going to actually repel them. We're going to actually become offensive to them. We're going to actually become a hard target. They like easy targets because they're lazy and they like the easy way out, right? They want to get their way in a very easy way. Now, some might be up for a challenge and they still might mess with you, but they're going to have a hard time getting to you if the light and the protection of God is with you and in you, right? So I want you to keep in mind before I close this video is that, it's not about when you invite more of God into your life and the light of God into your life, and in order to keep these crazy people away. And trust me, I know the more of God that I've invited into my life, the less I have to deal with these types of people. And then another thing about walking in the light is that you yourself, any blindness that you have, any things that you were able to see, God will open your eyes that you can see these people coming from a mile away. That you won't get into those relationships, that you won't form those friendships, that you won't let those people in your house, right? That you'll stay away from these people on a job. You see what I'm saying? So God will open our eyes so we can see. God will give us knowledge and wisdom on what to do in these situations. Knowledge and wisdom when people turn against us unjustly, when we suffer injustice. God will tell us what to do and give us the strength. He will give us the strength to get through it and get over it, right? Most definitely. But we have to make these evildoers uncomfortable in our presence. And the thing about it is, it's not about being this perfect person in order to get that protection, in order to get more of the light of God and the protection of God around us. It has nothing to do. God knows that we're going to mess up. He knows that we're going to make mistakes. He knows that we're not perfect. He understands that. It's not about perfection. It's about being open. And the more open and humble you come before the Lord, then you'll receive him, and the more of him that you'll get. But if you're closed off and there's doubt there and, unbelief, it's going to be a little harder for you, but the more open that you are and open to the possibility of God and having more of God in your life, the more of that experience that you'll have. So that's what I wanted to share with you in this video. What to do when manipulators turn people against you. You lead with the truth. Don't be a target, and use your spiritual power. I hope this video has been helpful to you. It's a tough topic. There's some tough situations that we come across, and there's no dry and cut solution all the time. Everyone's situation is different, but I do hope that what I shared was a little bit helpful to you. Take care. God bless, and I will see you in the next video.